so I just finished washing my wig. As you can tell, it is still damp. So the next thing that I'm going to do is block a wig. So this is my video on how I like to block my lace front wigs. So depending on, again, if it is a brand new wig or if it is a wig that has already been used, your lace may be really long or it might be on the shorter side. So right now this is a brand new wig and this lace is a little extra long even for me. So a lot of the times I'll go ahead and I'll just leave all that extra lace and then I'll cut it off later on when I'm getting ready to ship it out. But I'm gonna go ahead, because this is very, very long, I'm gonna give this lace a little bit of a trim. So if you are styling this wig for you or for a client, I recommend not cutting the lace super short until you or your client decide that you are ready to wear it. And in that case, then you can cut it as short as you want. Before that though, while you are styling, I do recommend leaving at least 1 inch of lace, so that gives you plenty of room to block your wig down. So I'm gonna do give myself even more than that. I just kind of want to get rid of some of these giant tails of lace that we have hanging out here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna trim that. I'm gonna start in the center and just kind of slide my way down. And again, where you trim your lace to when you are ready to wear it, or when your client is ready to wear it, is up to you at that time. I just like to trim off some of this lace beforehand so it's not too long. But you're also welcome to leave all of this lace on here if you would like to, and then trim it off later. Again, I'm leaving over 1 inch in front of the hairline to cut it off. Lots of space here. All right, so now I'm going to place the wig where I want it sitting on the head. So for my hairline, it's sitting a little bit further down, so I'm going to place it about there. Again, depending on you or your client, you may want your hairline sitting a little lower, you may want it sitting a little bit higher. Just kind of depends on the individual. Right here feels about right for me, so that's where I'm going to start mine. So I need 3 things actually, when blocking my wig. I'm going to need twill tape. So this is my preference. You can also use bias tape, and just like every other video that you guys are going to watch me do, there are a dozen ways to do everything. This is just my method. I like to use twill tape, and as you can probably see in the video, it is damp. I like to use a damp twill tape because then it makes it more moldable and pliable so that it can kind of go around the curve of the lace. The other thing that you will need is going to be any sort of like small ball pin that you would usually use when when you're doing any sort of stitching or pinning of anything down. I'm going to use these. And then the last thing that you may want is going to be some sort of a longer pin or like a sturdier pin. We just need 2 of those to hold down the nape of the wig. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my twill tape. I'm going to find the center of the twill tape and place it on the center of the wig. So you see here, the bottom of the twill tape is going to line up with the bottom of the lace. And then I'm going to stick a pin there. And that is from where I cut it. This doesn't necessarily need to line up every single time. I like to put 2 pins in my center front. Again, absolutely don't have to. That's just my personal preference. So then what I'm going to do, and this is something that I like to do to kind of help me out sometimes, is it can get a little difficult sometimes to balance getting tension on the lace and pulling this and getting pins all at the same time. So something I like to do every once in a while, especially when it's a new wig, is that I will pull that down and I can stick a pin there, and then I can come back around the ear here and pull that tight so that you've got that nice tension right around the hairline, and I can stick a pin there. I'll do the same thing on the other side. Like I said, that is just something really simple that is going to help so that I'm not sitting here trying to juggle the twill tape and the lace and the pins and all of that all at the same time. So I'll do that on the other side. That's also especially helpful if you choose to not cut off your lace and you are dealing with the really, really long lace. Sometimes doing this, again, will just kind of help you from having to juggle everything and be able to create that tension that you need. All right, so as you can see, now we kind of have some nice tension right here around the hairline. So then I'm going to take my twill tape, I'm going to lay that down, and once again, I'm doing the same thing where the bottom of the twill tape from where I cut it is going to line up with the bottom of the lace. And so I like to place mine a little closer to the top of the twill tape, and I'm going to place them a couple inches apart. And that's for a very specific reason, is because once again, it's a lot easier to do this than to place a couple throughout and then go in and fill in the space rather than have to go and put every single pin in all at once. This is just the way that I like to do it. You'll see what I mean here in just a second. So I took that pin out, and then put it over top, and keep going further down. And again, the wet twill tape is really great because it is moldable and kind of pliable and can go around the curve of everything. But when you do get down here and you're ready to kind of curve around the sideburn area or where the ear is going to be, I like to place a second pin there as kind of like an anchor pin. So just like that, so that I can then turn my twill tape. So I'm then going to turn that. I'm going to take that pin out and place it over the top. So there we go. So like I said, this right here, this is not enough pins. I usually like to keep my pins a lot closer together because the more pins there, then the more spread out your tension is, so that when you start pulling on this wig to style it, you're not going to accidentally tear your wig. So I'm going to go in between those pins now, and I'm going to place a pin every like ½ inch or so, and then just go through and place all those pins in there. Doesn't have to be perfect, just needs to have enough pins to hold that tension of the lace and to cause it and to stop it from tearing when you style it. If you know you're going to be doing a lot of really intense styling, another thing that you can do to help secure your lace is that you could go through and you can sneak some pins into the hairline here. This is also going to help spread out the tension when you are pulling on your wig. So if you wanted to, you can go ahead and you can sneak a couple in there. Also, like if you have a part in the wig, you can sneak a couple pins in the part. Again, just kind of helps hold the lace down, hold the wig down, and the pins will spread out the tension when you start pulling at your wig to style it. Just going through, adding some pins. I'll be completely honest, I may add more than some people like to. I just like to make sure that it's nice and secure. So that's about as many pins as I would add. Again, to each their own. Some people may add more, some people may add less. This is probably about what I would normally do. And it also depends on what you're going to be doing with it too. So say you are running a show in theater and you know that you are just blocking it so that the lace lays flat and doesn't get all crinkly, then you might not need to add quite as many. But if you know that you're going to be doing some really intense styling on it, you may need to add more. So again, just kind of varies depending on what you are going to be doing after you have blocked it. I had mentioned before, or like just a second ago actually, that like if you're working in theater and you're blocking it so that the lace doesn't crinkle. Some people may be wondering, why do I need to do all of this? Because I could just go through and stick pins in it and call it good. I don't need to do this whole twill tape, bias tape thing to get it flush. So what this twill tape is doing is this is going to keep your lace laying flat. If you were to just go through and put pins in, then your lace can, like, once it starts drying especially, or once you start styling it, that lace can kind of fold on itself and get all like crinkled in there in between the pins. This twill tape is helping keep it nice and flat. So it might not be quite as important if you have a new wig and it's got a lot of lace and you're about to cut it all off. But if you are restyling a wig, especially if you're styling something for theater, you want that lace to be laying on their forehead nicely so it doesn't look quite as wiggy. So that is the reason why you see a lot of people using twill tape when blocking, is it's going to help make sure that the lace lays nice and flat on your forehead and doesn't get all wrinkly and puckery. So that is the reason that we do it. Again, everybody has different techniques. Some people won't bother with the twill tape if they know that they are, like if they are keeping all of the lace from the manufactured wig and they're gonna cut it all off. Some people won't even bother doing this. Again, everybody has different techniques. Everybody has different ways of doing things. I'm just so used to doing it this way because I am used to working in theater where we have to block 30 to 40 wigs a night to be able to go home, and this is the technique that we will use then. So again, I'm doing the same thing on this side that I did on that first side. I got those couple pins going down. I'm sticking a pin here where I want to be able to turn the wig. Or sorry, not turn the wig, turn the twill tape to go around the sideburn area there. Stick one in there. And then I'm going to do the same thing. Oh, and then if you have this little flap here, I think I did it on the other side without even saying anything, I will just turn that back over and pin that down so that it, mainly just so that it's out of my way. And then do the same thing. I'm going to go through and I'm going to fill in the space in between those pins. So, boop, all the way down. Then I mentioned before that we're going to take 2 larger pins to hold the back down. And that is so that when we start styling, I'm always fighting my perfectionist instincts. So like right here, I'm like, oh, it's not perfect. It's fine. It really doesn't matter. That's just me being me. Just putting these pins in. What was I saying? Oh, the 2 large pins in the back. So we need to make sure that we block down the nape of our wig, because that is going to make sure that when we start styling a wig, especially if it is an updo, it's going to make sure that the wig doesn't end up getting too small and not be able to pull it down over your head or over the actor's head. So let's look at what we got going on back here. So first we have, I just call it a bra strap because this is exactly what it looks like, but it is an elastic with a hook that is in the back of most manufactured wigs. And the purpose of this is to be able to pull this tight so that it hugs your head a little bit better. So if you have a smaller head, you can pull these nice and tight, and it'll make it a little bit tighter on your head. So I want to kind of get these out of the way so that they're not in the way while I'm styling. And also, if you need to do this later on, you know how to do it. You will take this strap with the hook, and then the back of the wig here, you're going to have some loops. And you literally just place that hook through the loop, and that is going to keep it out of the way. And again, if you need your wig tighter, then I could take this and I could put it on a loop over on the other side to tighten it up. Just depends on the size of your head. But I just kind of want that out of my way, so I'm attaching it to a loop for right now. And then, like I said before, you're going to want 2 larger pins. I'm just using these 3-inch pearl pins. And you can go ahead and you can pull that down and then stick the pin in. So one thing that I recommend, and I did this wrong on purpose, was I just stuck the pin in this way, or I've seen people stick the pin in that way. But what's not great about that is that if I'm styling an updo, then I go to like pull out that wig and that pin's gonna pull out, and so that pin's not gonna do me any good. So what I like to do is, there in that like nape corner of the wig, is that I'm going to push upward with that pin, so then that way when I'm styling the wig and pulling up on that wig, this pin is going to stay anchored. So I'm going to flip to the other side, and I'm going to do the same thing. Again, I've got this brow strap thing that is in my way. I'm just going to quickly hook it out of my way. And if you feel that you don't need these, feel free to cut them out. Just make sure that if you are giving this to a client, or if you are working on a show, that you just double check either with your client or with the designer or whoever to make sure that you can cut it out first. So again, pushing that pin upward so that it stays anchored when we start styling and pulling that up. So there we go. So we've gone through, we have blocked down the lace of our wig, and we started by trimming it because it was a really long lace, but you're welcome to keep that lace really long if you want to, and you can go ahead and just pin those down. But it was so much for me that I decided to go ahead and trim it off. I've got it blocked down with my twill tape and my small ball pins. And then we pulled down the nape of our wig and we stuck those 3-inch pins going up so that we can use that to style later. So there we go. That is how I like to block my lace front wigs.